In this video, we're going to talk about the top 5 ways to continue having neck pain. Now, obviously, nobody wants to be in neck pain, so why am I framing it that way? Well, it's because our brains are much better at identifying problems than they are at finding solutions. And so what I want to do here is share with you the most common things that I find when a person comes in to see me complaining about chronic neck pain, and then we're going to do the opposite in order to fix the situation. It's a process called inversion thinking, and it can be a really helpful tool for resolving complex problems. The number one way to ensure that you continue having neck pain is to ignore or disregard your physical structure. And hands down, the most common thing that I find among the people who come in to see me complaining of chronic neck pain is abnormal alignment of the head and neck. What I'm talking about specifically here is a forward head position. You know that posture where the head is sticking out way in front of the body and a bump begins to form here at the base of the neck? And this is hardly an unusual thing to see nowadays. In fact, research indicates that somewhere between 61 and 85% of people walking around today have some degree of forward head position. But just because something is very common, it doesn't mean that it's normal. Studies have demonstrated that having a head that sticks out in front of the gravity line like that is actually predictive of neck pain. One study actually found that people with neck pain were 18 times more likely to have straightening or reversal of their neck curve, both of which lead to forward head position. The bottom line here is that in nature, structure dictates function. And when you lose the proper structure in your neck, it actively interferes with your body's ability to feel good and function normally. Number 2 is to sit for long stretches of time without taking any breaks. Tons of different studies have demonstrated a direct connection between sedentary behavior and neck pain. In this large-scale systematic review and meta-analysis that was just published, the researchers analyzed a total of 25 different studies with over 43,000 people, and they concluded that, quote, sedentary behavior is a notable risk factor for neck pain, and that the risk for neck pain continues to go up the longer a person remains sedentary. The human body was designed and built to move. In fact, movement is one of the things that our body requires in order to function optimally. And when we're not getting movement in sufficient amounts, the body has a way of letting us know about it. The third way to guarantee that you continue having neck pain is to allow the little muscles here in the front part of your neck to become weak. The muscles that I'm talking about are collectively known as the deep neck flexors. These are a group of small but critically important muscles that are located in the front of your neck. They include muscles like the longus colli, the longus capitis, and the rectus capitis lateralis. These muscles are positioned behind your esophagus and trachea, right up next to your vertebral column. And with regard to function, you can think of the deep neck flexors as the core of your neck. These muscles play an essential role in stabilizing your cervical spine, in supporting that normal lordotic curve that we spoke about earlier, and in maintaining upright posture. And because these muscles are responsible for all these different things, it should really come as no surprise that there is a well-established and direct link between weakness in the deep neck flexors and neck pain. In fact, research has demonstrated that about 70% of chronic neck pain sufferers exhibit decreased strength and endurance in their deep neck flexors. The number 4 way is something that has unfortunately come to define our modern existence, and that is spending an excessive amount of time with your head buried in a smartphone. In this giant systematic review and meta-analysis that was just published, researchers did a deep dive into the relationship between smartphone usage and neck pain. All told, they looked at 7 different studies with over 10,000 participants, and their conclusion was that individuals with smartphone overuse are over 2-fold more likely to have neck pain compared to those who do not overuse their phones. There's a very simple explanation for this, and it has to do with the position that most people are in when they're using their smartphones. You see, research has demonstrated that weight load on the spine increases dramatically and proportionally to the amount of flexion or forward bend a person has in their neck. And as you can see here, a head that weighs just 10 to 12 pounds in a neutral upright position gets heavier and heavier the further we move into flexion, weighing as much as 60 pounds when the head gets to a 60-degree down angle. And the 5th and final way to make sure that you keep having neck pain is to let yourself become deficient in the essential nutrients that your body needs in order to feel good and function normally. One of the best examples of this is vitamin D deficiency, which is widespread, easy to test for, and ultra common. Research has demonstrated that as much as 90% of the population in some Western countries fails to get enough vitamin D on a regular basis. And multiple studies have demonstrated a connection between vitamin D deficiency and different types of chronic pain, including chronic neck pain. Other common nutrient deficiencies that have been directly linked with chronic pain include magnesium, selenium, and zinc. In this case-controlled study from 2016, the researchers took a bunch of people who were suffering from chronic musculoskeletal pain and a bunch of people who didn't have any pain, and they tested them to measure blood concentrations of different nutrients inside of their bodies. And what they found was that the chronic pain sufferers had blood selenium levels that were 14% lower than the non-pain sufferers, and their blood zinc levels were 22% lower. So now that we've identified all these different problems, the big question is, what do we do about them in order to get rid of chronic neck pain? Well, first and foremost, we need to emphasize physical structure. And what I mean by that specifically is we need to restore the normal lordotic curve into the neck and get the head back into its optimal carry position. This will not only align the joints in your cervical spine so that you can move properly, but it'll offload a huge amount of strain from the muscles in your head, neck, and thorax. And there's just no question that the most efficient and effective way of doing that is with something that I call active traction. Now, active traction combines body awareness with resistance training for all of the muscles of your postural uprighting system from head to toe. And research has demonstrated that this style of training can produce significant reductions in forward head position after a single 5-minute session. And when used consistently over time, I've found nothing that is more effective for eliminating forward head position and restoring the normal curve to your neck. The second strategy involves changing positions regularly throughout the day. The body really doesn't like it when we stay in any one position for an extended period of time. So if you're like most people nowadays and you work a sedentary job, one of the easiest things that you can do to move the needle on your neck pain is to get yourself one of these standing desk converters, place it on top of your desk, and then set a timer on your device. And when that timer goes off, grab the handle, move up into a standing position, and keep right on working. This one really isn't complicated. This study from 2012 found that getting office workers up out of their chairs and into a standing position for just 8 to 10 minutes per hour during their workday was enough to reduce the incidence of neck and back pain by over 50%. Next up is to make it a priority to have really strong deep neck flexors. Having strength in this area has been shown to alleviate pain, restore functionality, and improve posture in people suffering from chronic neck pain. And I've got multiple videos that can show you the exact exercises and everything that you need to know in order to strengthen your deep neck flexors, and I'll link to those in the description down below under the headline, Building a Strong Neck. The number 4 strategy is to get smart about your smartphone use. And here are the 3 things that we know about neck pain and smartphones. Number 1, people who spend more than 3 to 4 hours a day on their smartphone have a way higher risk for developing neck pain. Number 2, people who spend the most time on their phones have the greatest intensity of neck pain. And number 3, the more you angle your head downward when using your smartphone, the more stress and strain you're putting directly on your neck. So wherever you're at in terms of smartphone usage, reducing the total amount of time that you spend on your phone each day is a really good goal to have. And for those times when you are on your phone, you want to make sure that your head is in a neutral position when you're viewing your device, or at most a 15-degree down angle. That's going to do wonders for reducing the strain on your neck and the surrounding tissues. And finally, if you're suffering with neck pain or really any kind of chronic pain, talk to your healthcare provider about testing your vitamin D status. The test that you need for this is the 25-hydroxy vitamin D test, and it's a part of most standard blood panels. And while you're at it, have your magnesium and zinc levels tested too. Deficiencies in all 3 of these nutrients have been tied to chronic pain, and it's thought that large segments of our population are deficient in these things, in some cases as high as 50%. Just be aware that the standard magnesium test is not an accurate reflection of the total magnesium in your body. To measure that, you're going to need something called the ionized test or the EXA test that's done using a simple cheek swab. You're also going to have to ask for the zinc test by name because those things are not a part of the standard blood panel. If you're looking for an evidence-based and clinically proven technique for strengthening your neck muscles and restoring the normal lordotic curve at the exact same time, check out this video to learn all about the active traction unit. And if you want to get out ahead of the type of nutrient deficiencies that are commonly linked to chronic neck pain, you need to know about RealCalm, a supplement that was professionally formulated to provide the nutrients that you need in the right amounts to do exactly that. I'm going to put links for RealCalm and the Active Traction Unit in the description down below. Beyond that, I just want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button before you head out of here, and I'll see you next time.